I need to augment the video that I did yesterday where I talked about some of the silly things that black men say and how many black women get caught up in using their opinions as a barometer to judge themselves. Of course, they always come out on the short end of the stick, but the main thing that I got out of that conversation, I shared my feelings. I had been holding on to them for a long time. Some of the women came on the thread and they were very, what's the word? I guess anxious about what I was saying because they feel like their daughters would be subjected to blackmail nonsense. They also felt like what I was doing on this channel was promoting relationships with them and that they didn't want their girls to do it. Okay, well, you need to straighten that shit out like immediately. Number one, I don't promote relationships with any particular group at all, ever, and never have. So I don't know where that shit came from. I am merely helping women who want to have a relationship to figure out how to make it happen. Now, the color of the man involved, I could give less than a fuck. I don't care. Because I don't talk about, well, this is what you do to get a white man, and this is what you do to get a green man, and this is what you do to get a Mexican man, and this is what you do to an Asian man. I never say that. I just say what some basic common ground things that men appreciate about women, what they're looking for in a mate, and you apply it to the situation as fits. That's on you. But never do I say that anything that I'm talking about here as far as getting a man and building a relationship only applies to black women. I've never said that. So where these women got that idea from, I have no clue. Number two, when I am making a comment and addressing male behaviors, I specifically say if it applies to black males. I always say that. I set them aside as a different category. And I make it very clear exactly what I'm talking about. So dudes who don't fit that category have no reason to get all up in their feelings and make comments on, these different social media platforms and stuff about what I said. What you're talking about is irrelevant. Number three, the women who thought that the best recourse was to prevent, to kind of like separate their daughters from black males in America. They thought that that was the solution, and I just want to tell you, you need to get real. That's impossible. It's like avoiding flies when you go to the park, ants at a barbecue, at a picnic. It's not going to happen. So what you need to do, though, is arm your girls with some serious knowledge and awareness and information so that when they run into knuckleheads, they know how to handle them. That's what you do. Now, the reason I think this is so important, because a lot of people assume, well, you're just talking about ratchet women, they shouldn't be going to places they go. They shouldn't be dealing with the men that they deal with. Let me tell you this. I talked to a friend of mine who works at like this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate financial company in Manhattan, in New York. Okay. The offices are so ritzy. The people make so much money. They handle so much money. This is like a primo place to work. Okay. They happened to hire 2 black males recently. Now, let me tell you what these niggas did. Okay, one of them, she says, is about 25. And he got started, he want to hang around her desk. And, I think it's also important to remember that on this floor where this guy was assigned and where my friend works, there are hundreds of people. She's the only black female. He's the only black male. Oh, what's that? Where's my phone at? Oh, and how he came at her is he came in staring at her, right? And a coworker noticed it and was like, girl, I think he's checking you out. Now, keep in mind, this guy's like 15, 18 years younger than her, something like that. But that didn't stop him. He just checking her out at work, all inappropriate. Like his fucking ass is at a nightclub. And so the lady's like, he's checking you out and blah, blah, blah. So she, sees him doing it. So then he comes to her desk like the next day or two, and he's trying to strike up a conversation. He's talking about, what he had for lunch or something, and what kind of food does she like, and she tells him that she likes certain types of food and she learned to cook it and blah blah. So he's like, well, oh, maybe one day, you could invite me over, and you could make your favorite dish for me. Okay, she got really upset because, and with good reason, because A, he had been staring at her ass, and B, this is how he came at her. This overly familiar, flirtatious manner in a professional corporate environment is grossly inappropriate, especially since all these businesses have sexual harassment policies in place. And a lot of them have these things where you can't, date other employees. So my friend, she's kind of like nervous now. She's like, oh no, this guy's clowning. It's going to cause me a problem with my job. I don't want any of the directors to see him, hear him talking to me like that. And, she didn't really know what to do. But luckily, she told him, I'm busy, you need to go. And so he took that hint and then he left. But of course he'll be back, because that's not really telling him about himself the way that he needs to be told. Now the second guy at her place of employment, who's also new, he comes in and he starts talking about, he lets her know that he's married, he got 2 kids, right? He's like their IT person. Dude is like, in his mid to late 40s. So it's not like he's a child. She says that he was being overly familiar, like asking her, well, do you have any kids? Okay, well, why is that a question that you need to ask somebody? Are you single? Well, what you got going on? And then he asked her about this restaurant that had opened up recently. And so, they're talking about it because she had been. And he's like, oh, well, we should go there on a date. Now, keep in mind, this motherfucker's married. But this is how he came at her at his job, their place of employment, a multi-billion-dollar financial firm in downtown, in Manhattan, downtown New York. This is the best that motherfucking nigga could come up with. So see what I mean? It's like, you women who think that you can escape black men, you can run from Blackistan, just protect your daughters. You can't do it. It's impossible. They're going to come wherever you are. Like roaches, they come out the woodwork. So the best thing you can do instead of trying to leave your daughters all naive and unprepared is to instead point out these games, point out these behaviors, and point out the things that they say and the things that they think about women. That is very important, because even if he sees you as the most dynamic and wonderful woman in the world right now, at some point he's going to build up a resentment for you, and then he'll be out, and you won't know when that day is coming. But I don't know, I just really want women to understand, there's no escape. There's no way to get out from under the umbrella of the black male. There's too many of them, and you're going to be trying to spare your daughters, which I'm not mad at you about that, trust me. But I'm just saying it's an unrealistic goal. It's an unrealistic expectation. You can't do it. It's not going to happen. As you see, she could go through college and everything else, but by the time she gets in the workforce, you don't control who they hire and who they fire. You don't control any of that. So you're going to put yourself in an environment where there's likely to be some male involvement, shall we say, like a peer or a manager, supervisor, something along those lines. It just depends on where you work. And I think it's very important that you guys understand that, deal with it accordingly, frame, wrap your mind around it so you can handle where dude's coming from. If he should want to, whatever, I don't know. I just want to talk about, respond to the woman's vision that she could escape the black male, because to me that's impossible. They're everywhere, all over the country, in every position, in every social circle, in every predicament that you may find yourself in, professionally or relationship wise or in any other way. There going to be some involvement that you have with a black male. Instead of trying to run away, you need to be very clear about your boundaries, teach your daughters to have boundaries, and you should be all right, and so should they. This is Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com signing out.